Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dheeraj Kumar. I am a lecturer of IIMT College of Polytechnic, Greater Noida in Mechanical Engineering Department. Today, discuss about refrigeration system. This topic is beneficial for BTech and as well as diploma students. So, what is refrigerant? It is a process maintaining a lower temperature than that of surrounding. The process is called refrigeration. In other words, refrigeration in the process of cooling substance. Refrigeration and heat pump. If the main purpose of the machine is to cool some object, the machine is named as refrigerator. If the main purpose of machine is to heat a medium warmer than the surrounding, the machine is termed as heat pump. In When you talk about a refrigerator maintaining a lower temperature than that of surrounding inside the cabin, the device is called a refrigerator. When we talk about heat pump is a machine which produces higher temperature than that of surrounding inside the cabin. The machine or device is called heat pump. COP. The full form is COP is coefficient of performance. Coefficient of performance is defined as the ratio of desired effect upon work input. When we talk about desired effect in refrigerator, the desired effect is refrigeration effect, or in heat pump the desired effect is heating effect. So we talk about the COP of refrigeration. COP of refrigeration it is defined as the ratio of refrigeration effect upon work input. The COP is always greater than 1 and known as theoretical coefficient of performance. Refrigerant. Refrigerant it is a working substance which is absorbs the heat during expansion and vaporize and losses the heat due to condensation is a refrigeration process. It's called refrigeration. Different type of refrigerants are used in refrigeration systems: air, ammonia, NH3, carbon dioxide, CO2, sulfur dioxide, freon 12, R12 भी कहते हैं इसको, methylene chloride and methyl chloride. Refrigerant classified into two categories: primary refrigerant and secondary refrigerant. Those refrigerant which is directly used to cooling a substance, the refrigerant is called primary refrigerant, such as ammonia, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and R12. This refrigerant is called primary refrigerant. Secondary refrigerant is a substance cooled by the primary refrigerant. When a refrigerant cooled by a primary refrigerant, this cooled refrigerant are used to produce a cooling effect or refrigeration effect inside the cabin is called secondary refrigerant, such as ice, solid carbon dioxide, etc. These refrigerants cool the substance by absorption their sensible heat. Refrigerants are mainly three types: ice refrigeration system, air refrigeration system, and vapor refrigeration system. Ice refrigeration system is the oldest method used to produce a refrigeration effect. In this refrigeration system, ice kept inside the cabin and produced refrigeration effect. Air refrigeration system. Air used as a working substance or a working agent in a refrigerator. The device is called air refrigerator. For example, Bell-Coleman cycle is the example of air refrigerator system. Vapor refrigeration system. The working agent employed in this type of the refrigerator are ammonia, CO2, SO2, freon, etc. Talk about VCRS. VCRS, full form of VCRS is called Vapor Compression Refrigeration System. Vapor compression refrigeration system consists four main parts. First, compressor. Second, condenser. Third, evaporator. And fourth, expansion device. TS diagram are shown in figure. Where TS diagram are shown in figure. This is the diagram, TS diagram of vapor compression refrigeration system. Condenser placed at higher pressure side and evaporator placed at a lower pressure side. This curve represents a saturated vapor curve or saturated vapor line. This curve is represents saturated liquid line. 1C2. The process 1C2 is a reversible adiabatic process. During reversible adiabatic process, refrigerant isentropically compress and increase the pressure P1 to P2 and temperature increases T1 to T2. High pressure, high temperature refrigerant is supplied to the condenser. Process 2 to 3 is constant pressure heat rejection process. Process 2 to 3 is called constant pressure heat rejection process. During heat rejection, refrigerant rejects of sensible heat of vaporization from a latent heat. Latent heat. The superheated vapor refrigerant is converted into saturated liquid refrigerant at the end of condenser. High pressure, saturated high pressure, high temperature, saturated liquid supplied to the evaporator expansion device. Expansion device are called capillary tube. During the expansion, the pressure is decreases P3 to P4. Temperature is decreases T3 to T4. Irreversible process. Expansion process is a irreversible process, so it is represented by a dotted line. During the friction, the pressure is decreases. Low pressure and low temperature vapor refrigerant, low pressure and low temperature liquid reagent supply to the evaporator. Low pressure, low temperature liquid refrigerant supply to the evaporator. During evaporation, the heat is absorbed and refrigerant absorbed sensible and latent heat and refrigerant are vaporized. And after the end of the evaporator, the refrigerant is saturated vapor refrigerant. This cycle again repeated. This is the layout of the domestic refrigerator. Are Domestic refrigeration system is work on VCRS, vapor compression refrigeration system. The four main parts is compressor, condenser, evaporator, and expansion device. Compressor compress the refrigerant, pressure and temperature and increases, and high pressure, high temperature refrigerant supplied to the condenser. This is called condenser. Condenser rejects sensible heat as well as latent heat and refrigerant convert into saturated liquid. Saturated liquid refrigerant is supplied to the expansion device. Expansion device reduce the temperature as well as pressure. Low temperature, low pressure liquid refrigerant is supplied to the evaporator and absorb the heat inside the cabin and absorb the heat and vaporize. Refrigerant are vaporized. This cycle again repeated in vapor compression system. The example of domestic refrigerator. What is the reason? What is the reason evaporator played above portion of the device or above portion of the cabin? Because The hot gases density are very less, so hot gases always present present top of the cabin. So these gas are hot gases are hot gas is cooled by the refrigerant, and cold gases density is high. They are moving towards down. Air conditioning system. Air conditioning is the process of conditioning the air according to the human comfort, irrespective of external conditions. Window type air conditioner shown in figure. Window type air conditioning have four main parts. First, compressor, second, condenser, third, evaporator, and fourth, expansion device. Window type air conditioning. Half of the portion is outside the cabin and half of the portion is inside the cabin. The condenser are placed outside the cabin and evaporator are placed inside the cabin. When compressor suck the refrigerant from the evaporator and it is compressed reversible adiabatically. Pressure and temperature are increased. High pressure and high temperature refrigerant supply to the condenser. Sensible heat and latent heat rejected by the forced convection method and refrigerant quickly condense. High pressure, high temperature liquid refrigerant supply to the expansion valve. During the expansion process, the pressure and temperature are decreased. Low temperature and low pressure refrigerant supply into the evaporator. Evaporator absorb the heat inside the cabin by continuously flowing air by fan. Condenser fan and evaporator fan driven by a common motor is called fan motor. This cycle again repeated and split type air conditioning system. Split type air conditioning system those two major parts, indoor unit and outdoor unit. Outdoor unit consists outdoor unit consists compressor and condenser, and indoor unit consists evaporator. Outdoor unit. There are four main components in split air conditioning. First is compressor, second is condenser, third is expansion device, and fourth is evaporator. Evaporator placed inside the cabin. Evaporator is also called indoor unit. During the compression process, this is our compressor. During the compressor process, pressure and temperature of the refrigerant are increases. High pressure and high temperature refrigerant supply into the condenser. Condenser forced convection method refrigerant are quickly reject heat to surrounding and convert into saturated liquid. Low pressure, high pressure, high temperature liquid refrigerant. High pressure, high temperature liquid refrigerant supplied into the above expansion device. Expansion device. Throttling valve is called expansion device. Expansion device. During the expansion, liquid refrigerant pressure and temperature are decreases. Low pressure and low temperature refrigerant supply into the evaporator. Evaporator absorbs the heat inside the cabin and vaporize. These process again repeated and saturated vapor refrigerant again supply into the compressor and this cycle again repeated and low maintain maintain a constant temperature inside the cabin. Merits of split type air conditioning system. It is compact, it is energy and money saving. Duct is not required, easier to install. It is noiseless because rotary air compressor used is kept outside. It is more efficient and powerful. It has flexible for joint. Thank you. So today discuss about refrigeration system. Thank you all.